There is a place that is beyond remote, a vast wild land ravaged by disease and famine and shattered by decades of violence and civil war. It has seen thousands captured into slavery, over 2 million lives taken, millions orphaned and displaced. It is a place where cries of pain and anguish, fear and frustration are part of the familiar. It is a nation struggling to find peace, a blood-stained battlefield, exhausted by war. This is Sudan.
Sudan is a vast country. It's 1 million square miles with 1 million problems.
Sudan is currently Africa's largest country. It shares its borders with 9 other African countries. It is a country of stark contrasts. The Arab-Muslim north is dry and sun-baked. The Christian animist south is fertile and home to the world's largest swamp, the Sud. It is a land rich in natural resources, and it controls the largest area of the Nile River. Sudan has a fascinating and interesting history. In the Bible, it is referred to as the land of Cush. It is an archaeologist's paradise and home to the world's oldest pyramids. It is a country of cultural diversity where there are more than 300 different tribes and 133 spoken languages. The city of Khartoum in the north is Sudan's capital. It is developed and home to many 5-star hotels and the largest contemporary hydropower project in Africa. In contrast, the south is poor and infrastructure is almost non-existent. Sudan has the 3rd largest reserves of oil in sub-Saharan Africa and produces 500,000 barrels of crude oil a day. It has the 17th fastest growing economy, yet 40% of the population are below the poverty line. 32% of Sudanese children are chronically malnourished and 4 million are in need of food aid due to the country's civil wars. In 2010, the UN declared the Sudanese town of Akobo as the hungriest place on earth. Sudan's short independence history has been dominated by violence in one of the longest, bloodiest wars of the 20th century. Of the 55 years that Sudan has been a nation, 34 of those have been at war. Sudan's civil wars have killed an estimated 2 million people and an estimated 4 million people have been displaced. Sudan has seen bloodshed predominantly between the Arab-Muslim north and the black Christian animist south. But one of Sudan's most atrocious wars erupted in the Darfur region of western Sudan.
War erupted in 2003 when rebels attacked government garrisons, claiming economic neglect and repression. Khartoum responded by bombing villages and arming local Arab militiamen who came to be known as the Janjaweed, notorious for committing atrocities against non-Arab civilians.
The fighting in Sudan's Darfur region pits government-backed militias, known as the Janjaweed.
Government-backed marauders on horseback who continue to murder, rape, and terrorize villagers.
Tens of thousands of people have been killed.
Genocide.
The death toll in the Darfur region of Sudan has reached 70,000.
I think the international community is favoring people in Darfur.
UN officials say Darfur is a tragic example of ethnic cleansing with what they call indicators of genocide.
An estimated 180,000 people have died in the fight.
300,000 people have been killed.
10,000 people a month are dying.
The civil war ended in 2005, but has left a trail of destruction in its wake. Violence and kidnapping is still a daily occurrence, and Sudan is still littered with non-exploded ammunition and landmines. The wars have destroyed schools and healthcare systems, damaged the economy, caused desertification, famine and starvation, and left families maimed, broken and displaced. They have severely traumatized children. The Lost Boys of Sudan are just one example of this, considered by many experts to be the most badly traumatized children they have ever examined.
They walked without water, food, families, or even a clear destination. In the late 1980s, some 26,000 boys fled Sudan's civil war, in which militias were ordered to kill male children. The boys trekked hundreds of miles across Africa in search of safety.
In 1987, Kuek Alu Garang, was separated from his family during the Sudanese Civil War. He was 6 years old. Kuwait and thousands of other lost boys resettled to the United States. In 2009, Kuwait journeyed back to Sudan for the first time in 22 years to reunite with his family. In January of this year, as part of the 2005 peace agreement, a referendum was held in which Southerners would vote for unity with the North or secession. Thousands of jubilant Southern Sudanese turned out to vote in this historic referendum, and they won with a landslide vote of 98%. Sudan is set to become an independent state and the world's youngest country in July of this year.
This work into Sudan began with one man who entered the country during the height of war with a desire to reach people who had never heard about Christ.
I felt the call of God to go to Sudan. When I first arrived in Sudan, my first impressions from the people were, they said to me, "Don't tell us about hell, tell us about heaven, because the place that we live in is hell." And also they said, "Tell us where we've gone wrong, so that we can repent and make right with God."
Henny Cater has been taking teams to work into Sudan for the past 11 years. They have established a church and a base camp at Padak. When Henny first arrived in Sudan, the locals said the last time the gospel was preached in the area was over 100 years ago. Christians were sacrificing white bulls for the forgiveness of their sins, and it was to these people that he felt God call him. His vision is to build a training center in Padak that will be used to train leaders, providing them with accommodation and a hall for training. In 2008, a team from Wynot Africa joined Henny to continue with the work that had been started.
This is what Africa, man, I can complete. We started on putting the roof on, and we'll carry on doing that today after tomorrow when they finish the bricking there. So for today it's mostly to bring material from 2 different locations to build up a floor level inside the 3 rooms, and then we hopefully will lay a concrete or cement floor. I think the team have done exceptionally well.
Ministry into the area included a special surprise. The locals were treated to the viewing of the Gospel of Matthew and the Passion of the Christ on a makeshift movie screen. Many of them experienced cinema for the very first time, and many came to know the saving grace of Jesus Christ that night. This year, this team of 3 will be flying into Padak to accompany Henny and his team in Sudan. This week-long trip is not for the faint-hearted, and they will be relying heavily on your prayers and support.
All their sufferings, all the bombings, all the aerial bombings have come to an end, and there is a way forward, and there is a way of development, so that 100 years from today, 50 years from today, that children should never have to go through what we've gone through.
Many challenges face Sudan on its long path to restoration, and the damaging effects of years of civil war could take generations to heal. A Sudanese man commented, "We've seen international aid, government programs and religion, but we've never seen love." Sudan has many needs, but above all, to know the saving grace and gospel of Jesus Christ. Only His love can change a nation from the inside out. Their situation can't be ignored. Become part of the solution and ask God to burden your heart with His heart for the people of Sudan.